we're going to be doing a couple of jobs on the 6520. Change these fender extensions, get the metal fenders patched, change cross shaft and the left arms. So first step, jack her up, take the wheels off, and then we'll take these off. Alright, so if the wheel's off, our next step is to remove this damaged fender extension. It's on with rivets, as you can see there, so we'll have to drill them out, and then there's a couple of Allen key screws into the green triangle piece. We'll take the Allen key screws out first and then drill out the rivets. Same on the other side. Alright, so both fender extensions are off. Now if we're only doing the cross shaft, the only actual part of the fender we would need to take out is this piece on one side to let this shaft come out the ways. But since we're going to take these off and replace them anyway, we're just kind of tying the two together. So, a few bolts across the top, a few bolts down there, and they bolt into there and beside the air filter. Alright, we've still got one that's hiding up on here, so we'll have to take this splash guard off. So that is the green triangle piece off on both sides, so plenty of room around the cross shaft now to get that job done. But since we're going to take these green fenders off to get patched up, we'll take the tail lights out, the left arm buttons, number plate bracket and light, to take these wires out, and then take off those round bolts, and that'll all lift off. Alright, so basically there is a row of these studs all along the inside of the mudguard, and there's one little screw going straight up holding this back panel on the cab. So we have one screw left in place, and then this whole thing will lift off. so we're ready to take the cross shaft off. The arm is only held to the shaft really by this bolt. Same on the other side. But the arm is then also held in place kind of by this ram and this leveling screw via these pins. There's a little pin goes through here to keep things secure. We have that out. And then the pin goes the whole way through and it's actually threaded into this plate. And the pin through the arm is threaded into that plate as well. Now these are seized and do not want to move. So I've had penetrating oil at them for a while and still doesn't really want to go. Won't budge at all. So we're going to heat them up and see if that helps. Failing that, we'll just have to cut the pins out. And have new pins there anyway, just in case. This one has took a battering from somebody before, so I would say it is pretty tight. But if it comes to it, this arm is scrap anyway. We can cut this, cut the pin, save this, save the ram, take it off that. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta be ignorant about the whole thing. Yeah, not wanting to go. So, cut this lug off, and that took a lot of beating and prying to get it off there, so it was seized on the pin here. It's probably seized on the pin in there, and seized on the threads in there. Now, thankfully, it is not seized on the ball of the leveling screw, so we won't have to cut that off. But we'll heat a bit more here. Now looking to get right on at it, and a bit on the threads, and then I've got a good big area for the Stilson. Well, this has been a fun night. The heat didn't work on this lug either, so we'll cut it off. And it broke off then, that's fine. I'll have to try and get this bit of the lug off the seized pin. But once we get that off, we discovered that it was lovely and free on the threads on there. So we know that this pin is only seized in the arm. So I hit it and heeled it out. Had it with the sledge in and out and in and out a wee bit to free it up. So now hopefully it will spin out. Now, this is the way these are supposed to come out. They just spin out. Shouldn't even really need a Stilson on them. Should just be able to put a punch through the hole and turn them by hand. There we go. That's that. I have to get that broken lug and the remainder of that pin out. But it'll be simpler when you can hold it in your hand or set it in a vise. So, just have that pin through the left arm now. It is free, so I'll leave it in place for now because I want to keep everything in line I'll show you when you take this cap off, there's a little mark on the cross shaft correspond with your arm so that it's reading right on the sensor for your lift control. So now we just have the same to do on this side. Alright, so this side isn't actually proven to be as difficult. This big pan at the top of the ram, it went with a bit of heating and a good bit of sledging. Started to move back and forth a wee bit. So we've got it spun out. It has now unthreaded from this big plate. As you can see, it is now free. It was very tight on the threads on this pin, but again, a bit of heat, when it was free from in there, we could hit that back and forth. It is now free, and it should have just enough room to get it spun off. And this pin, with heating here and sledging back and forth, that is starting to move a bit too, so we should be fit to drive that out. And we'll not have to do any cutting on this side. So, we are now pretty much ready to take the cross shaft out. Just need to disconnect position sensor, which is down in here. There's a little plastic sector, a little sort of half moon shaped toothed segment bolted onto the shaft. Screw it off as well, and then take that bolt out both sides, slide the arms off, slide the shaft out. you can see, I have a new arm on the shaft. There's a little hole on the shaft so that you know which way to put it in because your sensor is up in the middle here on the other side, so it has to be sitting the right way. And marked it with the grinder, the old shaft, to know which spline the arm goes on. So we have that done. We have new pins for the top of the rams, and we have new pins for here. And this is a plate. This took a bit of tidying up of the threads because this pin was so badly seized and it. I made, didn't have a threader that size, so I got one of the old pins with the good threads and cut a few tracks on it and spun it in and out a brief many times. Clean them up. So this is good to go back on here. Screw that in. I'm going to put plenty of copper grease in here and in here because I don't want that to ever seize up again should we have to take it off for whatever reason. That is the way that those should go on. Nice and free. That's the way I wish they had come out. Try and get it lined up here. Doesn't actually have to be pulled completely tight because we have a pin going down in there which will lock it. So we've got the mudguards all patched. Great job on them. Couple of wee spots on that one. Got fouled up with the MIG as well. So we're gonna have to give a lick of paint on these bits anyway, and by the time you paint that, you might as well paint the whole mudguard. So I'll have to give a bit of sand and get the loose stuff off and any wee bits of rust. Buff it, sand them down, and particularly on the insides where the road salt and stuff gets thrown at them. That's where they start to go. So we'll sand that down first and then throw a bit of paint on it. We've got the mudguards painted up. Not just a showroom finish, but it's not too bad. So next step now, screw them back on. The jigsaw is starting to come together. I have both fenders on, lights on, multi buttons on, number plate lights, triangle pieces are on. All I have left to do is fit fender extensions. Of course they are broke. So here is a lovely set of new ones. I have to set these up now, and then they are all, as you remember, riveted in these wee holes here. Alright, when you're putting these on, put your bolts on first, hold it in place, then start with your rivets. Start at the back and work forward. Don't start and bring it on the other end, or start from the middle and work out. Start at the back, work forward, and then you won't be left with any humps or bumps, hopefully. And before you get that rivet, the final pull, you've got to make sure that you don't have a gap and that you're up tight. Sometimes you gotta use your head. Well, it's a bit wet for filming outside, so hopefully the light's good enough on here, but this is the finished product. It's our nice new Fender extensions. Have to try and not score them too soon. And here is the new lift arms and cross shaft. So they are good and tight now. Before this sort of seesawed up and down on both sides. Good job. Also, whenever I was doing that, took off all the pipework and taps up here. Show you a photo now of what that used to look like. As you can see, it was quite a lot of stuff up there, and now it is just these two neat little pipes here teed into the third spool. And my theory is, whenever I'm using my linkage, I'll not need these pipes for telescopic hitch, so I can plug those out, and then the hitch won't be moving, and the flow, there'll be nothing coming out this coupler, so the flow will go down the pipes. Goes down the pipes all the time anyway, but it'll go down the pipes to the linkage. And if I am using the pipes for the telescopic hitch, plug them in, and around here I have my taps. I can turn them off whenever I have the pipes in for my linkage or for my hitch, and then when I'm using the linkage, open the taps, and then they work. And there's a diverter down in here before the taps, so the feed comes in, and when the diverter is open, goes straight through to the taps, out those two pipes to the linkage. Whenever I press the button on the cab on top of the lever, that changes the diverter, and go out those two pipes and out the front spool. So rather than two pipes in here for the linkage and two pipes in here for the front spool, we have these two pipes running there. That works the linkage, and then press the button and pull the same lever and that works your front spool, because you're not going to need linkage up and down and the front spool at the same time, so you don't really need two levers. So electronic diverter does the job, and I still now have freed up basically 3 spools at the back, whereas before I had 2 pipes in here, 2 pipes in there, and you only had 1 spool. So if I need 3 double acting spools, say for slurry tankers, something like that with an overhead boom, hook it on, take these pipes out for the hitch whenever you have it locked on, and then you have your 3, and close the taps to the linkage so it's not going up and down whenever you're working the 3rd spool. So that's basically it. Bit of progress again. This is the problem then when you start painting. Where do you stop? Would like to get all this redone if I get time, maybe over the winter. Would also like to do wheels, and the steps could do a bit of tidying up, but it's a work in progress, so go bit by bit here and there. We'll see how it goes, but at the minute everything's on it, everything's working, so it's only really cosmetic. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.